NHS bosses in the southwest are looking at alternative healthcare projects to keep people well, alleviating the pressure on overstretched services. As we've been hearing this week, the region's NHS is expecting yet another busy winter, with demand already exceeding capacity. In fact, demand hasn't really let up all year, with our biggest hospital reporting it's been 14% busier compared with last year. In the second of our two-part series looking at winter pressures, our health correspondent Jen Smith explores new technology being trialled in patients' homes and community wellbeing hubs, asking, will they make a difference?
Perhaps resting your hands in your lap, possibly palms open to the sky.
One of the activities available at this community hub in Cornwall. Chair yoga is part of a busy schedule here in Perranporth. Opportunities to keep the population as well as possible.
It's not only are the hubs helping people to feel less isolated and to improve their mood, but we're also seeing some really interesting statistics. So 50% of people who come to a hub say that if they haven't got support here in their local community, they would have contacted a healthcare provider. Now, we know that all of those services are already under pressure, and we've got winter coming, which is going to add additional challenge. So the hubs are really part of our frontline support and infrastructure to relieve pressure on our wider health and care services.
And the evidence shows it does help.
I like the company, and you come back as well. So
it's more the social side.
Absolutely, yeah. Get to know a few more ladies, in the village.
Loneliness can become a health problem for older people. The stats show loneliness leads to hospital admissions, which could otherwise be avoided. June says that after she was recently widowed, coming here has given her an outlet.
I came this morning and immediately bumped into Michelle, who's, taken me under her wing. So there's always somebody that will just do that for you, that's what I find such a comfort. And as I say, just the feel-good factor really is what you need when you spend a lot of hours on your own all of a sudden.
And it's this kind of wellness approach that NHS bosses hope will go some way to ease the pressure on stretched services. Cornwall's only major hospital has seen record ambulance delays, queues at its emergency department, and huge waiting lists. NHS Cornwall says it's as prepared as possible for this winter.
So our winter plans are about how we manage working with the voluntary sector to keep people at home for as long as we possibly can. And when they go into hospital, they go for a much shorter period of time.
And how confident are you feeling heading into this winter?
There's always challenges that come with winter. We've learned lessons from last winter. We know that we have problems with our ambulances. Whilst we're still seeing ambulances on the forecourt at RCHT, which is not where we want to be, those times are getting shorter. We're releasing ambulances earlier. We need to keep improving on those times so that we don't have any ambulances queuing.
Alternatives to hospital are becoming a universal approach across the NHS, not just to ease pressure, but because a hospital stay can be detrimental to older people. Where appropriate, services are being directed to pharmacists, health hubs and home care. And technology is playing an increasing role. This is what's called a virtual ward, bringing hospital care into the home. Susan is having her blood pressure and medication monitored, avoiding a trip to Derriford.
It's nice to be able to come home, not worry about having to wait for somebody to take your blood pressure. You can just do it yourself when the tablet tells you it's time to do it. So it is very straightforward. It's quite easy to use, and you've got the backup of the team back in the hospital.
The patients are obviously much happier in the comfort of their own home. They feel that they're kind of, support at the end of the phone if they need it, and they're able to be monitored throughout.
Virtual wards are now being used across most of our local NHS trusts. But ultimately, NHS bosses say more capacity is needed. While a new urgent and emergency care facility at Derriford is still in the planning stages, some shoots of recovery are already apparent. This new orthopaedic ward in Plymouth will not only free up space inside the hospital, but will change the lives of many.
First of all, they're coming to a fantastic environment where they're going to feel safe. It's going to be open for them. They're going to be cared for by expert nurses, so they will also get a quality of life.
We are not happy as surgeons that our patients have been waiting so long for the operations, and this is going to go a long way to help us deliver their care quickly and safely.
But are these preparations just piecemeal, or will this winter be different?
There's a lot of plans in place for this winter. That said, we have seen a huge demand throughout this entire summer, which has not reduced. And that means that we are expecting those numbers to continue to be high through this particular winter, and working on increased numbers of our attendances in ED to manage and test those winter plans.
The sheer number of unwell people arriving at emergency departments and needing GP services is on the rise across the region. Officials say the majority of patients do try to use services wisely, but clinicians say the severity and complexity of illnesses are increasing. So while these efforts to ease pressures are welcome, there are fears the benefits might not be seen in time. Jen Smith, BBC Spotlight.